right, Infernal Blessings. Back with another one as I head to my second destination. Time to get some weights on. But anyway, couple quick announcements. Again, for those that reach out to me, want to know how to sign up for the different classes I offer. The way to do that is to go to the official Primordial Chaos Patreon page, patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti, patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti. Tier 3 is the way you want to go. That join Tier 3 gives you access to the 3 private classes I do every month on Patreon for Patreon members only. And it gives you also access to the monthly ritual we do together every month at the end of the month as a group. Also, if you're interested in a spiritual consultation or a reading, I offer various different readings: Klipothic demonic readings, Santa Muerte readings, Egyptian oracle readings, shadow work readings, deity readings. For a full list of readings and how to book a reading or a consultation, shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com, and I'll send you information on how to do that. Also, the 6th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference is in full effect. You can sign up now, register and sign up to attend live and in person, which will be from October 19th to the 22nd. You could also attend virtually, which gives you access to the 3 days of classes, workshops on the 19th, the 20th, the 20th, the 21st, and the 22nd. So if you want information on that, again, shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com. That email is in the description box of this video, along with information on how to sign up for classes. The Patreon page link is there also in the description box. And also keep in mind, all this new content is being uploaded to the Primordial Chaos podcast, which is on Spotify and all major podcast platforms. That link to the podcast is also in the description box of this video you're watching right now. All right, so I want to talk about Azazel. I'm going to go through just the vibe and the energy is saying to run through some different demons on this path and spirits. Let's talk about Azazel. It's a quick tutorial. Again, I can't cover everything due to the fact I have to stress that because sometimes people send emails, oh, there's that. Can you talk about this? It's these segments here again. Just have to reiterate, these are quick 20, 30-minute tutorials. I'm not going to be able to cover every single thing in detail, okay? But anyway, having said that, some of the information out there on Azazel, let's talk about that, okay? So a lot of the information on Azazel you will find in different, depending on the author, depending on if you're looking at certain grimoires, certain spiritual systems. But if you start first with the Yazidis, the Book of Enoch, and you get into Hebrew mysticism, right? You start there and work your way back. Again, as I've said before in the past, with a lot of these demons, do not get caught up in trying to put a time frame on them. People make that mistake because they get connected or caught up in a certain historical era or doctrine, and they try to lay claim to that. Be careful, don't do that. You're limiting in your understanding of what you're working with here. But anyway, let's start there and work our way back. All right, so the word Azazel or Azazillah means the one removed, right? And you'll even see in the Torah, the Hebrew tradition, it's also connected to the goat. It's not a coincidence. The goat is connected to the symbol of Baphomet, the goat of Mendes. But there used to be a ritual of atonement in the Old Testament in the Torah where, according to their tradition, they would sacrifice a goat and use the blood of the goat for the atonement of their wrong or sin. So he was the scapegoat, is the term, right? They still do this today, right? So the scapegoat symbolically, even when you come up to the New Testament, right, that great scapegoat, technically, or that Azazel, again, connected to the adversary, would be your Jesus figure too. There's not really much of a difference because he was the greatest atonement for sin, according to them in the New Testament and the New Doctrine, or in their New Doctrine. He fulfilled the law. Didn't destroy it, but he fulfilled it by his crucifixion and death. Why, as I said before, that story is really symbolic of the sacrifice. You die and resurrect yourself on this path. But Azazel, when you go into the book of Enoch now, you go back into the traditions of the Yazidis, the book of the Al-Jiwa, the Black Book, and you start reading information on Azazel where he taught the people not to conform. He taught the people not to bow down, be servants and conformists. He taught them how to build weapons, how to rebel. He was a form of an iblis, a rebellious one. But not in the nature that you think. He was teaching the masses how to sustain themselves, how to raise themselves up to their divinity as a god, and not bow down to nothing or no one. Okay? Now, if you're really on this path, Azazel is a very strong adversarial spirit, right? He walks with the initiate, he or she, especially when they start to make the intent to walk this path of, one, the aspects of the isolated consciousness, the path of self-mastery. Many have described, including myself, I work with a lot of people in the mentorship program, and a lot of them, there's a ritual they do in the early stages of the program that's connected to demonic integration work, which is activating your personal daemon or your higher self. And a lot of people describe in that ritual hearing a whisper, like not a very just, like a whisper, like a very, it's a strong whisper, but they hear it. They hear hissing. That's usually a sign of Azazel making his presence known, especially when an individual is doing work to separate themselves from the conformist self, the lower self. This is a very common thing. There's always a similarity across the board with that description, but a lot of people not being able to identify who and what that is. At some point, you do come to the realization, and I do the best of my ability trying to help people there, but you just got to get there yourself. But Azazel is, to me, is a spirit of ancient wisdom. He can give you a lot of guidance as you're navigating through this path. But when one takes on the role of Azazel, what do I mean when one takes on the role of Azazel? When you make the intent to walk this path, you are taking on an Azazel role, because Azazel being the one removed from what? Removed from being a conformist. He did not want to conform. He rebelled and stood firm in his divinity. So when you navigate through this path, Azazel is, I look at Azazel in my experience, and again, other people might have different perspectives. I look at him as a spirit guide, if you want to use that. He makes his presence known for very particular reasons. He always delivers messages when needed, when guidance is needed on this path. Now, how I've connected with Azazel personally, and again, I can only share with you how myself have connected personally. This may not apply to everybody else. I've mentioned before in the past, I see him in some of my visualizations and ritual work. He always takes me, to a barren desert, and sometimes it's reddish brown, a very distinct reddish brown sand, and it's almost always at the point, which I know what this means to me symbolically, at the point of which one would call sunset. It's not fully dark yet, but it's not completely light outside, and there's a reason that represents harmony and balance to me. And I always see the bottom of the sand turning counterclockwise, and he will always emerge from the sand dressed in black, full, head covered like with a turban and a veil on it. It's a very Eastern, it has a very Eastern mysticism energy to it. He carries a scimitar, if you know what a scimitar sword is. There's a kind of a set energy connected to it to a degree, but it's almost like a wise elder or mystic from the East. But I never, ever fully, I always see his eyes, see the bridge of his nose. I mean, it's just me. It's just my personal experience. but he has a very ancient mystical spirit of wisdom, and he will give you guidance, he will give you strength, he will give you power, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. All those key attributes one needs to navigate through this path. Okay? Now, other people describe, other experiences with Azazel that can be completely in a whole nother direction. And look, everybody connects on their own individual basis in their own way. So keep in mind, when I'm doing videos on deities and spirits and demons, I can only give you the foundational information. But when it comes to actual personal experience through ritual work and otherwise, I can only share my own. Not for anybody to accept or co-sign on it, but just as a discussion point where you can analyze and compare your experiences. But you will find a lot of people who will be, in sync with what I described, being a very ancient, mystical spirit. It's an energy like from the Far East to me. It has a very Arabian, Northeast African, Middle Eastern type of energy and vibe. But I've always connected with Azazel, also through, I think I mentioned this a little while back in previous videos or classes. He's a powerful spirit to connect with through the art of scrying, using all 4 elements. I've scryed through smoke, through water, through earth, all the major elements you can use to scry. Fire, obviously, is, using the flame or the fire. You can invoke Azazel through those elements, through the element of scrying. And in this aspect, I just want to be clear, I kind of almost use it as a form of divination to ask specific questions. Okay? Because that's my connection with Azazel. So if there's something I might need clarity on, there's something I might need answers to, there's something I might need guidance, or, as I've said before, many times over the years in different classes and videos, you don't always have to go to spirits, demons, gods, and goddesses wanting something. And I want to stress this. Even when I've done, a video I did not too long ago on designing work, obviously, for your needs first before your wants, but it always doesn't, ritual work shouldn't always be based on a need. I need something, or I want something. I'm saying that to say this: Azazel is just a great energy to enhance your knowledge, your wisdom, your understanding, and your power. Knowledge itself. Sometimes I will invoke Azazel for spiritual strength. Sometimes I will invoke Azazel to get the inner understanding of certain spiritual mysteries, things that are a mystery. So sometimes just a great working is to connect with a spirit like Azazel, just to strengthen, existing faculties and powers you already have. Okay? Now, Azazel too, in the arena of sorcery and magic and witchcraft, again, he's got that energy and those powers connected to him too. Okay? So you can connect with Azazel when it comes to enhancing, whether it's your magical abilities. Azazel also is a great spirit to enhance, let's just say, your higher faculties, like I've said with other spirits too: clairvoyance, intuition, telepathy, psychometry, any of your psychic abilities or spiritual powers. Azazel is also great for doing that also. But again, if I had to really just give a foundational explanation in my experience, I have to put him strongly in the category of a spiritual guide. He always makes his presence known when sincerely the individual makes the intent to walk this path, because they really want to learn, they really want to grow, they want to understand themselves, they want to understand the universe, they want to understand creation, they want to understand existence, right? He is the true embodiment of being a god or a goddess, right? That's what those stories of rebellion, when you're reading the book of Enoch, you're reading Al-Jilwa, the black book of the Yazidis, when always keep in mind, because I know when people hear, not so much us on this path, but I know when people hear the word rebelliousness, rebel, it automatically out the gate to the unknowing to one who are not on this path, I mean, excuse me, that's always going to be obviously labeled as negative. Oh, it can't be positive to be negative. I mean, to be rebellious, because you've been programmed to think once you hear the word rebel or rebel or rebellious, you automatically, your mind has been trained to think that's something bad or negative. Just like when you go into the Quran, when you talk about Iblis, the title they give to the adversary in the Quran, Lucifer or Satan, the devil, he's referred to in the Arabic as Iblis, which means rebellious, the rebellious one. Why was he given that title, or why did the translators of the Quran give him that title? Because in that story, in the Quran, he refused, as it says in the Quran, to make obeisance, to bow down and prostrate before Adam. Why? Because he makes the statement in the Quran, why should I bow down to something that was made of mud and clay, and I'm made of a more powerful element, fire? What that really represents, fire is something of more of a spiritual nature, because fire can heal, transform, and change, and fire can burn and destroy, right? And fire is directly linked and goes back to the real point of origin of what we are comprised of and what God's spirits and demons manifest from their gas or etheric or fire or light state. Whereas mud and clay represents mortality, represents the earth, also ties into the root chakra, which the root chakra is rooted in the earth, right? So it represents the lower self, right? When you look at it from an esoteric or occult perspective. As I said, the Al-Jilwas, in the book of the Al-Jilwa of the Yazidis, they believed that was a test for Iblis, that he was not supposed to bow down, to see if he would surrender his divinity. Whereas in Christianity and Islam and Judaism, it's used in reverse, that he was being rebellious and evil because he went against the monotheistic God. So that's why he gets the title, the rebellious one. Azazel has that same type of energy as Iblis. Very similar. If you work with Iblis, Shaitan, Melek Taus, Azazel, I would put, and I'll probably do a video individually on those, I would put them in similar categories, just in my experience in my work. And I have to make that clear, because I don't want somebody that watches the video, oh no, but me, I don't know. I had a completely different, well, of course, because everybody is different. Okay? There's a lot of things that I'm saying that are very similar across the board, that is common sense, that people who've done their research and study can confirm. But when it gets to something of a more personal nature, I have to make sure I specify it's personal. Because as I said before, I'm not one of those people that go on YouTube, one of them teachers that come on YouTube and ramble on about my personal experiences and want everybody to co-sign on it and sit there and force my personal, as they use, downloads on people. I had to download this and that, and the ancestors said, and this, that, and that. I don't do that. Why I don't do that is because I believe people need to have their own personal downloads and raise themselves up to the realization of communicating with their demons and spirits in their own personal way, because that's the realization when it becomes, you get that realization now, it becomes real to you. Because think about it. If you just co-sign on other people's personal experiences, it's no different than a religious Christian who sits in church and believes everything the pastor says and accepts everything in those Bible stories that they say without ever being able really to confirm it, and only go based on faith and faith only. And their Bible says faith without what? Works is dead. So you can't just go on blind faith. So when you're co-signing on somebody else's experiences, you are operating on blind faith. Okay? Because if you didn't have that similar experience, then you really can't lay claim to it being 100% factual for you. So that's why I don't do that. But as I get close to the end of this video. I'm getting close to my destination. Let's just do a quick summary, a quick sum up. So I would put Azazel, to get back on the topic and finish this thing out the correct way. I would put Azazel in that pantheon of a serious spirit guide. Has a very mystical, ancient mystical elder type of energy to it. Comes to me more with that Eastern occult, left-hand path type of vibe. That's how I connect with him. I do and have done a lot of reading and research with the Yazidis, so I do connect with some of the stories that they have recorded in the mythology of their quote-unquote, if you want to call it scripture or books, because I can use some of their work and create ritual work out of it for personal transformation. So I am in alignment with a lot. So I would encourage you, if you want to explore this further, to things connected to Azazel, I would look into their work. Obviously the Book of Enoch, which many people should be familiar with. I definitely would do research on the Book of Enoch in pulling information for Azazel. I definitely would do that. And again, remember, as I said, when you're going through different grimoires, or when you're going through different ancient texts from different cultures, one of your jobs as a magician, and one of the skills that is absolutely necessary, and a lot of people on this path will always talk about the science of ritualizing the mythology, understanding the mythology so you can use it ritualistically for personal transformation in your spiritual work. So very important for you to do that. I don't care if it's ancient Egyptian mythology. I don't care if it's the Sumerian culture, whatever. Your goal is people get caught up in arguing the validity sometimes of how old is this or that, and this, that, and the third, and what came first, and is this real, is it literal, or if it's not. See, the difference of what we do, I said it's as real as fake as you make it, because it's subjective in nature, and how you accept it subjectively is going to determine how you bring that into reality, into your objective consciousness. And you can do that with any mythology. Okay? That's what we do as magicians, because the world around us, we're building and destroying our reality constantly. Okay? We're creating our paradigms, our universes, the whole nine. That should be your approach. All right? Anyway, having said that, I am at my second destination. This is just a quick video on Azazel. Do your research. Probe around. See what you get out of it if you want to explore. If you're somebody who doesn't really have a lot of experience with Azazel, I would encourage you to look into it. Again, I consider Azazel as a spirit guide. I feel his presence, a guiding presence with me continuously, right? I'm not going to talk about that. There is, in my opinion, a connection there with Samael, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But these are some of the, if the correct word to use, these are some key demons that I have close relationships that walk with me: Azazel, Samael, etc. You're going to have your own personal connection. Explore it, master it, and see where it takes you. All right? Other than that, if you need to reach out to me for a spiritual reading or a consultation, shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com. If you need information on the 6th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference, how to register and sign up, shoot me an email. That email is in the description box of this video. Same thing for the link to the Patreon classes. That's how you get in on the classes that I offer. That's the only way. You should go to patreon.com and you join tier 3. That gives you access to the 3 monthly classes I do privately every month on Patreon. And it gives you access to the group ritual we do at the end of the month. That's patreon.com /Baniti, Baniti. That link is also in the description box of this video. And also remember, all this content, this new content and some existing content, is being uploaded to the Primordial Podcast on Spot, which is available on Spotify, all major podcast platforms. And also the link to the podcast, the direct link, is in the description box of this video. All right, that is going to wrap it up for this one. This is your good brother. Let me stop. The B, the A, the N, the I, the T, the I. Oh, matter of fact, this Thursday, tonight, actually, I got to put the link up. We're doing a 50 celebration of the 5th anniversary of Hip Hop and Culture. I got to put that link up tonight. I keep forgetting to do that. All right, I'm going to do that right now. Infernal blessings. We'll talk soon.